Okay. What would it be for you? How many of you have, technology is a wonderful thing. How many of you have this little thing called an Apple AirTag? AirTag, right? How many AirTags, right? How many of you have more than one? I have 4, okay? I got 4. I've got one in my luggage bag. I have a pen case. I keep one in my pen case. I've got one on my keys, and then I've got a spare one. So like when we just went down to Dallas, I threw one in my luggage, and then one of the 4 that I've got I gave to Patty. I said, throw this in your luggage. I've thrown them in my golf bag when I travel, okay? Because if you don't have one, well, let me just say this. If you don't have one, you're like you're not normal, okay? I mean, I'm flat out going to insult you, but you're not normal. These things are 5 years old. April 2021, okay? Coming up on 5 years. That's all these things have been in existence. They sold 20 million of these in the first year. They sold 35 million in year 2. I was trying to find the most recent data, but it's just not available. But based on 55 million of these being sold in the first 2 years, the conjecture, the thought is that there's a lot of people using these things. Now, what are they good for? Because if you've got something valuable and you've got it in it, you can find it on your phone, right? Because you don't want to spend time looking for stuff that is important to you, okay? I was going to a basketball game on Friday. I have a glass case that I use. I keep my glasses in. And I'm all ready to go. I got my bag. We're heading out the door, and I'm like, oh, my glasses. And so I go and I got my glasses, but I can't find my case. Now, my case only needs to be in a couple places. And it's not a big deal. I'm sure you're sitting there going, what is it? But I looked for about 10 minutes, and you know what I did? I grabbed another case. It wasn't that big deal to me. It's like I've got extras of these. I was frustrated, but annoyed, but I'm moving on, right? What is it that if you were to lose it, you'd look really hard for? These go on keys. You frustrated when you can't find your keys? These go on, the thing that I found interesting, any of these use these with your kids?
You put them on your kids?
Yes.
Yep. One of the big deals is they're putting them in shoes. Yeah. You could duct tape it to their head. I mean, you can find a myriad of ways, but they're using these with your kids, right? Some piece of their clothing so you can find your kids, okay? If something were to happen there. I think that is one of the scarier things. If you were to lose a kid, happens. They wander off, right? I think the top 5 uses for these were keys, luggage, purses. Kids was just beginning to scratch the surface because I think that's sort of a new phenomenon people are using them for. I don't there's stuff that I've got that's value to me, and I don't want to lose it, and I hate having to look for it. Okay? If you can identify with that, you can get into this story that Jesus taught. Over the next little bit, we're going to have, next 2 or 3 weeks, we're going to talk about how I believe that in 2026, God's made us for more. God has made you for more, but what does that more look like? Nice, religious talk. What would more look like for you? And today I want us to talk about how when God finds us, one of the reasons that I think he finds us is that in being made for more, we would go out and we try and find other people. But that can feel daunting. That can feel intimidating. And so I want to look at some stories that Jesus taught about finding people. And maybe if I do one thing for you, especially the church crowd today, I'm going to push you a little bit on how one of these stories ends. Because I think if we can get behind what happened there, maybe we can understand even some more of what's happening in culture. All right, Luke chapter 15 is where these take place. Let me set the stage for you. Okay? Luke chapter 15. Now the tax collectors and sinners were all gathering around to hear him. The him is Jesus. The bad people are coming and they're listening to Jesus. Okay? The Pharisees, but I have the but circled. That's sort of like, okay, here's what's going on. But it's not all hunky-dory. Can you imagine that? What would be the harm in listening to Jesus? You would think that everybody would want to get a seat at the table and come to his seminar, okay? But the Pharisees and the teachers of the law muttered, grumbled, sort of talked under their breath, sort of like looked at each other saying, this man welcomes sinners and eats with them. Okay, again, not a big deal. You eat with a bunch of people. In Jesus' day, to eat with somebody was simply a matter of friendship. You didn't have meals with people you weren't friends with. So we need to appreciate the tension. Jesus is welcoming into his inner circle people that you would go, man, I'm not so sure about that. And there were people that were calling him on it. Okay? So what might it have looked like? I want you to watch this and let's see. Should I hit it or you got it, Todd? Here we go. Dim the lights.
Anyone want any grapes? Barnaby, you eat a lot.
Very observant, Matthew.
Thank you. Simon?
You know, Matthew, when you're not behind iron bars, you're quite handsome.
I agree.
What is going on?
May I help you?
We were just on a walk and we heard voices, and I thought it sounded like... But surely not.
And yet it is you.
Would you like to come in?
We would never be caught dead in a...
In a what? In a tax collector's house?
Not only that, but with a... Do you know what she... and he... They are...
You seem to be having troubles finding your words, man.
Why does your master eat with tax collectors and sinners?
It is not the healthy who need a doctor, but the sick.
I must say, I am shocked. She is from the Red Quarter. Much of what is done there cannot even be spoken by my tongue or cross my lips. It is so unholy. The mere mention of it would defile me.
Sounds like a personal problem.
But him and the others he works with, they betray our people for money, and they're not even sorry.
If you're so offended, then leave.
Let them speak, Andrew.
They've never offered guilt sacrifices in the temple.
What? The priest keeps records. We check them. Tax collectors are not welcome at the temple.
Would like them better if they made the proper sacrifices.
This is not about me. This is about what God wants.
You are forgetting the scroll of Hosea. Go and learn what this means. I desire mercy, more than sacrifice.
There are righteous men on the lookout for you, and they are weighing every word you say.
Is that a threat?
Please let them know this, Yusuf. I have not come to call the righteous, but sinners.
Is everything under control here?
Yes. We were just going on our way, Centurion.
As Primi Ordina to you.
Prime ordine.
Okay, that's from The Chosen, the time that Jesus had dinner with Matthew and the crowd. So it's a different time, but the same conflict, the same tension. And as I was back into these stories, one of the things that struck me was, I'm not sure that we in the church crowd, and that's us, appreciate the tension. I feel like in some ways we whitewash it. The more you've been in the church, you know the story. And so today what I want to do is I want to reintroduce that tension for you, because I do believe with my spirit that when you've been found by God, one of the things that should mark your life is you want others to be found by God. And when you see an indifference, when you see a callousness to that, it sort of calls into question, wouldn't it, in a very right way, the thing that God values, we don't value very much. How do we get there? What leads to this? What I want you to get is, first of all, this, that Jesus spent his life moving towards messy people. He didn't run away from them. That's why in the first couple verses here, there's this antagonism. And you saw there with the clip from Matthew, it just continually was building. See, he hung out with the wrong crowd. And we tend to label people that way, don't we? We have good people, and we have bad people. I want to stop and ask you right now, because I know if I'm going to ask you a question, and I promise you, you can answer it. So it's not a trick question. Who are the good people? How do you determine the good people? Conversely, who are the bad people? And the bad people are see, we label people. And we do it, I think, even we've gotten to a spot where right now it's very natural for us. You put a label on someone and that justifies how you treat them. It happened this week. I don't know if you caught it. I'm going to use this as simply to illustrate the point I want to make for you. Renee Good was shot this week and killed. How many of you know what her sexuality was? Put your hand up. You know her sexuality? Can I ask you a fair question? What difference does her sexuality make to her being shot? But that was one of the first things that was reported, wasn't it, when it was coming out on certain lean of thinking? Well, she's a lesbian. As though a lesbian should deserve to be shot. Oh, she was on the left. Oh, he's on the right. Oh, he's MAGA. Oh, he's woke. And we've begun to use labels as a way to justify our putting people at arm's length. We use labels to identify who we're kosher with, who's in our camp, and those who are not in our camp. And Jesus didn't use labels. Okay? So one of the things I want you to consider strongly as you enter the new year is, how are you going to identify your crowd? Who's going to be the good people for you and the bad people? And if I could ask you to think about, refrain from measuring people up, because here's how I tend to do it. The good people are the people who think and act like I do. And the bad people are those who do other. And so I need to work on seeing people the way God sees people. Do you understand the tension then? Jesus is eating and he's hanging out with bad people. And if you were a good person, you would be looking at Jesus and you would be scoffing at him. He's not hanging with the right people. He's spending time with the wrong crowd, and that would bother you. And so Jesus said, okay, if that's you, well, let me tell you some stories, okay? He's going to tell two stories here, and if you grew up in church, you know them. There's the story of the shepherd who loses a sheep, okay? He's got 100. He loses one, and Jesus says, hey, which of you shepherds, if you lost a sheep, what would you do? And everybody goes, I'd go looking for him, especially good shepherds, because your reputation's at stake. You don't want to lose the sheep. And that's how the story goes. And he says, that's right. Jesus went out and he found the one, and everybody rejoiced, and he had a party. So the first 2 or 3 verses. And then he tells the story, and he says, hey, I want to tell you a story about a woman. And she had 10 coins. And she lost one. So we move from 1% of your whatever you want to call your wallet to 10% of your wallet. Hey, this woman had 10 coins and she lost one. What would she do? What would you do if you lost 10% of your income? She looked for it. She cleaned, she swept, she looked under the bed, she looked everywhere until she found it. And when she found the coin, she called her friends together And they had a big party because about now we're back whole. And I think here's what just strikes me about the two stories is the Pharisees and the good crowd. It says in the Gospels over and over again that they were lovers of money. They were lovers of power. They wanted the best seats at the party. They wanted the best seats at the Super Bowl. They wanted the best seats at the hockey game. They wanted people to sort of revere them, respect them. Those were the good people. And so Jesus just says, well, okay, let's do this another way. He says if you lost like part of your income, if you lost like one of your sheep, thinking person, what would you do? Would you just let it go or would you look for it? And they would have been like, we would look for it. Of course we would, Jesus. And everybody gets that because they lost things that were their possessions. And I think now he's like, okay, he's roping them in a little bit. He says, all right, I got one more story for you. And he tells them a story of a father who lost a son. What I want you to understand in these stories is lost doesn't mean that the thing was worthless. The sheep was worth something. Even at 1%, the coin was worth 10%, okay? It wasn't, when things are lost, it means they're not where they're supposed to be. So when we talk in the Bible about people being lost, we're not saying they don't have value. We're saying they're not where they need to be. One of the things that troubles me is we have cheapened the value of life. This is Sanctity of Human Life Sunday, if I'm not mistaken, on the calendar, where it is a focus, it's a re-emphasis that life matters. All of life matters. It was originated with the idea that the unborn, when we were killing the unborn with abortion, that we needed to ask people to think about that differently. Maybe look at life differently in the womb. So that's happened. Roe v. Wade has been overturned, right? It's no longer the battle that it once was for church people. There's another battle that's out there that I believe is coming that I want you to think about. That is, I just read recently in New York that there's at least, if it hasn't been approved, it's moving through the chambers of allowing people to decide when they die. And I think as a Christian, I think as a person, you need to sort that one through. Are you good with assisted suicide? What would the Bible say about assisted suicide? Because I understand the argument, don't you? You wouldn't get to the spot of wanting help dying if you weren't in pain and you wanted to end your life. Right? I acknowledge that. But is that, do you understand? We've really gotten wonky here, haven't we, as a culture? We can help people who can't have babies. And we can help people who want to shorten and hasten their death on both ends of this. And who decides life? Where does life come from? Is life indeed sacred? How do you feel about that? And your answer to that, don't think it's just theoretical. Your answer to that goes into what happened in Minneapolis. A woman lost her life on TV for all of us to see. Charlie Kirk lost his life for all of us to see. People are dying in boats for everybody to see. What's your value on life? And do you tend to view some life as better than others, best on your label? Good people deserve to live. Bad people had it coming. I'm asking you to seriously give some thought because it affects your conversations. It affects your view of life. Jesus talked about life a lot. He talked about people. He talked about wanting to find people. And why did he want to find people? Because they were of value. And so he tells these stories. A lost sheep, a lost coin, and now he's going to talk about two lost sons. Not one, two lost sons. Say here in the bottom of the screen that God is not passive about lost people. He pursues them. Jesus came to seek and to save that which was lost. That's what he said. I've come to seek and to save that which is apart. It's not where it needs to be. And where we need to be is in right connection with God. So he tells the story now, and some of you maybe, if you grew up in church, remember the story of the prodigal son. This guy has a son. The son says, hey, Dad, I want to get out of here. He said, give me my inheritance. And so I'm going to leave. And he takes everything he's got, puts it in the backpack. He's got his inheritance. He's off for the big city. He's going to go spend his money on women. He's going to spend his money on whatever he sort of wants to do. Because it's his money, right? Who's to tell him how he can spend his money or not? This is his. This is his. And we read there, Jesus told this story, and he said, but there came a day when he ran out of money. He didn't have any more money for women. He didn't even have money to eat. He's doing dumpster dives. You need to get the mental picture. He's the guy or the woman that's on the off-ramp at Bryan from 70 with a sign that says, homeless, can you help me? That's really where he is. He's got nothing. He's hired himself out for less than minimum wage because he's hungry. And he comes to his senses, it says. Jesus said he came to his senses and I should go home. My dad, he treats his people really well. At least I'd have a warm bed and I'd have a hot meal. I don't deserve to go back and be a son. I just don't want to be hungry anymore. I don't want to worry about sleeping on the street and something happening to me. I'll just go home and I'll beg Dad to take me back in. And it says there, while he was on his way to his dad sees him from a long ways off. His dad runs to him, okay? If you're not familiar with that culture, that would have been a big deal. Men didn't run. You didn't run for anything. It was undignified to run. So for him to see a son way off, down, like coming up the interstate, going, is that? No, I don't know. Is that Judah? No, man, it looks like him, but he's coming this way. And he runs and he just throws his arms around him. And we read here in Luke, it says there, he said, while he's still a long ways off, his father saw him filled with compassion. He ran to his son. He threw his arms around him. He kissed him. The son said to him, Dad, stop. I've sinned against heaven and against you. I don't want to be called your son. No, that's not it. I just want to come back. Will you just hire me to go out and work the fields? The father said to his servants, quick, bring the best robe, put it on him, put a ring on his finger, kill the best steak, let's grill him up. Let's have a party, for my son was gone and now he's come back. This is so cool. And I've preached this message, and I bet if you've grown up in church, you've heard it preached, and it's all a big message on the prodigal, on the rebellious one. See, he was lost in rebellion. And there are a lot of prodigals. There are a lot of people who are lost. They've run from God. And they've turned their back on their families. They've turned their back on, they just want to live for themselves. And they get in a spot where they get jammed up and they get hurt. And it's the pain of living in those unfortunate circumstances that drives them back to God. One of the things, just sidelight, rabbit trail, parents. I want to ask you to think about something as you have kids. One of the things that will help your kids that I don't like doing, I don't like seeing my kids suffer. No parent with a parent's heart wants to see their kids suffer. If you're a good, and I want to say godly, but if you're a good parent, you don't want to see your kid ache. But one of the things that happens is when your kids make poor choices, when you circumvent that, when you step in there to try and lessen that pain, you may be short-circuiting what God wants to do to get their attention. Pain is a great motivator to think about the life and the path you're on and the changes you need to make. Sees his son, he welcomes him back, they throw the party, they get the band, their groans out there happening, and we read in the text here, verse 25, meanwhile the older son was in the field when he came near the house, and he heard the music and dancing. I have a mental picture that he's off, and somewhere he's hearing tambourines and banjos going, and he's like, what's going on? No, when I left the house today, Dad didn't say anything about a party. Why? So he starts making his way back, and the closer he gets to the house, the louder the music is, and he can hear laughter, and he's like, no one told me, right? When he came near the house, he heard the music and the dancing, so he called one of his servants, probably his right-hand man, and he said, what's going on? And he said, your brother came back. Can you believe it? Your brother showed up. And so your dad, he killed the best cow we got. He invited the whole town, and everybody's over. And we read in the text that the older brother became angry and refused to go in. The other son was lost in religion. What do I say that? Look what he reads, what we read here. So his father went out and pleaded with him. And he answered his father, look, all these years I've been slaving for you and never disobeyed your orders, yet you never even gave me a young goat so I could have a party with my friends. You didn't do squat for me, Dad. All these years, I have toed the line. I have done what you've asked, and you didn't do nothing for me. And this worthless son of yours, doesn't call him his brother. Look at the text. Never refers to him as his brother. This worthless son of yours comes back and you do this? What a slap in the face to me. When this son of yours squandered your property, Dad, with prostitutes, when he comes home, you kill the best cow for him? You cook it all up for him? My son, the father said, you're always with me and everything I have is yours. But when we had to celebrate and be glad, because this brother of yours was dead and is alive again. He was lost, and now he's found. One of the things that, a couple words there that I want you to understand. When it says he was angry, we gloss over that. He was ticked. That word anger is simmering. He'd been brooding on this a while. And so I asked myself, I spent the week asking myself, and here's the question I want to ask you. Why was he mad? Why was he angry? I mean, can't you just see like, okay, young son wants to go. My brother took off, went to the city, blew the wad. Okay, poor choices. Why does he have to get angry? You think he was angry while his brother was gone? Or do you think he just got angry when the brother came back? If he got angry when the brother came back, why wasn't he happy to see his brother? I have a question for you. You think the relationship between the two brothers was one of the reasons the younger brother wanted to leave? I mean, if your older brother thought that little of you, that he was pissed when you came home, do you think that just suddenly popped up, or do you think there was stuff brewing before he ever left the house? How many families have you had people want to get out of the house because of the way they've been treated by a sibling? I think there's some animosity there before. I wonder. See, I think, and this is all conjecture now. Now you've got to I'm trying to get myself in the text and what was going on and why Jesus told this story. Why did he tell the story? Some of you are like, I don't care. No, you need to care. He's telling the story to go back to illustrate the point. Why were the Pharisees and teachers of the law angry with Jesus? Why were they ticked at Jesus? Why was the older brother ticked at the younger brother? He's trying to use this story to capture their attention, to shine a light on what's going on in their heart. Why is so much of our culture angry today? Do you think there's a good many people that are angry today? Why are they angry? See, if you can't unlock that, we're not going to get any better, are we? This is not just a story that I think Jesus told a long time ago that has no relevance. I think that there are people today that are angry for the same reason that the older brother was angry. I'm going to give you a couple thoughts. I think that he was angry because he was, he says in the text, Dad, all these years, I've loved you. And this is the way you treat me? Is that what he said? All these years, Dad, I've worked for you. There's no mention of love. There's no mention of affection. All these years, Dad, I've done the right thing. I've towed the line, Dad. I didn't want to. The younger brother, he went out and partied. God knows I wanted to, but someone had to be the responsible one, right? Someone had to be here and help you out, Dad. And you didn't do anything for me, Dad. But this guy, he goes and blows it all, and you're like, yeah. What's up with that? I think he was angry because he felt entitled. I think he was angry because he felt disrespected. I think he was angry because he was self-righteous. Something I was thinking this week. I love Stonebridge because there's no self-righteous people in this church. Can I ask you a question? You think the self-righteous know they're self-righteous? I'm straight up asking you. You think self-righteous people know they're self-righteous? My hunch is they don't. They justify their attitudes and their actions because we're trying to do this for God. We're trying to be holy like God wants us to be holy. You, Jesus, eat with these scum. You eat with these garbage people. Who are these people? Where are the good people? Right? I think self-righteous people feel like they're disrespected. You feel like you've got people piling on you, you might take a really good look at your heart. You feel like you're entitled to that respect. People are talking down to you, and they shouldn't talk down to me. Self-righteous people feel they're better than others. And here's the question I have for you. Why do you think you're better than others? Think about it. What have we been talking about? Your actions. Your actions lead you to believe you're better than others. Did Renee Good deserve to be shot in the face this week? Not being political, I'm just asking you because it's all over the news. Does she deserve to be shot in the face? Some of us would say, by her actions, she certainly did. She drove that car right at that guy, right? By her actions. She's a lesbian. She's a leftist. She's a Democrat. She's a protester. She deserved to be shot. She crossed the line. By her actions. And I got to be fair and say, didn't Jesus say, by your actions you'll know them? Isn't that what he said? Sermon on the Mount? By your actions, by their fruits, you'll know them? Yeah, it's worth thinking about. Where do our actions come from? Jesus said in Matthew, out of the heart. Out of the heart come your actions, the things that are in your heart. I hope I've created some tension in you because I wanted to this morning. Because I believe that we do judge people and we label people based on their actions. And we label people worthy of God's love or not worthy of God's love based on their actions. And we wonder why people outside the church have turned the church out, because the church has said, when you clean up your act, we'll love you. And Jesus said, I love you, let's work on your act. How do we go about finding people? Here's where, as I was really wrestling with this, and I spent a lot of time this week looking at this text and trying to bring it to life, and why did he include the story of the older brother being angry? He could have stopped it with the young brother coming home and put a period there, and everybody would have been like, yeah, he came home. But then he goes and he talks about the older brother being angry and I'm not coming in, Dad, and I've done all this stuff for you. And I think he did it to try and say, look, you can be, as I say here on this slide, you can be far from God and sit in church every week. You can be very, very religious and have a heart far from God. Because the older brother demonstrates that. He never left the father's home, and he never had the father's heart. All that time in the father's house, and he never understood what was important to the dad. Can you imagine that? Can you imagine your kids spending all that time with you and not really knowing what's on your heart? Both wanted the father's stuff. Neither wanted the father's love. They both wanted the stuff. Dad, I want my inheritance, and I'm going to get out of here. The younger brother said it. Older brother said it. Dad, I'm not saying I'm waiting for you to die, but man, this brother's out of here once you're gone. How do we find people? I want you, first of all, to think about I'm just going to talk to myself, and you can listen in, all right? This is going to be like me talking to a counselor. I need to push past the obstacles that are going to come. What's the biggest obstacle that you face in ministering to people, in finding people? It's going to be, I'm going to give it for you. You're not even going to have to think hard about it. It's going to be time. And I'm going to tell you, I can solve your time thing for you. You know what I read this week, according to Barna? And I'm guilty. The average person spends, are you ready? 3 hours a day on your cell phone. That's the average person spends 3 hours a day on your cell phone. Scrolling, doing whatever we do. You spend about 8 or 9 hours a day, depending on your job, in front of a screen. So I get that. Some of you, that's your job, right? You're in front of a screen all the time. But you think about 30 to 40% of your life is in front of a screen in a given week. The major obstacle you have to reaching people is you would say you don't have time. I would say, I think we have time. We just need to figure out, man, look at it differently. And I want you to know that I think people are worth it. I watched a video of my grandson this week, James. James is almost 3. He'll be 3 in March. This is why I got e-bites. I was close, right? Yeah. Points. Watch the video of James. James is there, and Mom is shooting the video. And you know what? Okay, so it's my grandkid. So let's get past that, because it could be your kid too, right? He's singing, "This is the day that the Lord has made," with hand motions. At 2.5. This is the day that the Lord has made. Lord has made. Let us rejoice. He's doing the whole thing. He's got the hand motions going, right? And the dude's 2.5. And who's teaching him that? He didn't come out of the womb having it memorized. Someone is teaching him that. And it's not his parents, because they don't know the song. Fair? Fair? Okay, all right. I'm messing with them. We need people that'll step up and use your time to minister to other people. We have great opportunities this year. We have tremendous opportunities in front of us to reach people. They say that one of the things that's happening in culture is there is a resurgence in people interested in spiritual things. Bible sales are up. Christian streaming music is up. The download of apps, of Christian apps, is up. Church attendance is declining. That's an interesting paradox. There's a lot of things out here where people are doing more, what I would say, spiritual things, but being in church is declining. I think the number one reason is this. Church is about connections. It's about having friends. It's about feeling like there's somebody there that knows who I am, and I want to be there because my tribe is there, my friends are there. That's us. Somebody is teaching my grandson this little light of mine. I want 10 more of those people. I kid you not. If I had 10 people in this church that would go after people, this church would explode. Just talking to people, doing ministry together. So being in student ministry, we need help. Children's ministry, we're looking for people that will love kids. I'm looking and praying for 3 adult couples or people who will lead small groups or Bible studies to help people get in the Word. I heard the story since I was away from you for 2 weeks. A 37-year-old, what I would say, successful businessman. I was talking to him. You know what his New Year's resolution is? Not really true, but coming into the new year, he's grabbed 3 other guys and they're starting a Friday morning Bible study. They meet an hour before work on Fridays to study the Word together and to pray together, and then they're going to do work together. He's as busy as the next person. I would say a successful person is however you define success. He was telling me, I just want to be in the Word more, and I know I need to be connected to these guys, and I think I see myself as a leader at work. And so I want to gather a couple other guys together, and we're going to start a Bible study. That takes time. That's pushing past the obstacles. The second thing, I've already said, love doesn't see labels. So don't judge people because they sin differently than you. That phrase is not new with me, but man, I hang my head on it. I got to work hard not to judge people because they sin differently. I bet you do too. By the grace of God, there you go. Don't think it's because you're so high and mighty, because you're not. And if you do, I would say, man, take caution. Pride goes before a fall. So just in humility, I sin. People I work with in a basketball game, they sin. They use language I wouldn't use, but I'm not going to judge them because, I don't swear, I don't use the F word. No, I got my own issues, okay? If you just would begin to see people as people that Jesus loved, Christ died for, feels the same way about you, that'd go a long ways. Third thing is that use your money to reach people. Yeah, I said it. Let's use our money to reach people, because using our funds allows us to get the resources needed that can influence people. Warman, how so? Well, let me do something as simple as this. Like, the seminar we're doing on marriage and time. There's some cost associated with that. That's why we ask for, like, okay, here's what it costs to do that. We're not trying to make money as a church, but there's a cost there. It costs money to do ministry. It costs money for curriculum, for the light, all that stuff. You just guys get that. So let's just think about using what I have so that God might use it in the lives of other people. And the fourth thing, it won't come up. No. Man, you know what I hate about this? I wrote it down. You know what? Here's the fourth point that comes in the text. That we get excited about every comeback. Any sports fans here? Your team comes back in a game and they win. I promise you're not sitting on your hands. You do not sit on your hands. People come to church that haven't been in church a long time, we tend to go, oh, that's nice. That's nice. That is so cool. You're talking about life change. You're talking about people who are making conscious choices to at least seek after God, put Jesus first, get involved in doing something in ministry. I'm going to call a guy out because I can, because I'm up front and it's my microphone. See this guy in the back, Chris Behan right there? Chris Behan last week said, I'm going to start working in the tech booth. We needed somebody up there to tag team with Tori, and Chris said, I can do that. Now, Chris showed up in church last week to hear Travis speak. That's what I heard. And ended up in the tech booth. That's a lie. I know that's not the case. But he's saying, hey, here in the new year, I can do that. I can be involved back there. We should celebrate when people take steps of wanting to move towards God. That should be the coolest thing we do. Praise team's coming up. I want to leave you with one story that I think illustrates what we're trying to say. I want you to make people a priority this year. People you work with, people in your family. It can be as simple as this. You just begin to pray for somebody that God will put on your heart, one person. And you're going to pray for them that God would influence, maybe use your life to be an influence to them. And you're going to look for opportunities for maybe a conversation, maybe a way to bless them. But it's going to start with one. This was an interesting story I came across. Where'd it go? It was the Colorado Search and Rescue Team. that they were interviewed why they do what they do, and here's what they said. Millions of people visit the mountains and they name the county in Colorado every year. A few become lost, stranded, or injured, and some are going to die. Our objective is to find and rescue those lost or injured people before it's too late. We are dedicated to saving lives. And so the most recent year they went out on 74 searches, they brought back 95 people to safety, and they recovered the bodies of 9 others. It says here that in a given year, the U.S. Coast Guard made 54,600 rescue trips by boat or aircraft, and they saved 3,661 lives. Do you know what the search and rescue team motto is? You wouldn't. I didn't know. I just saw this. You know what the motto is? This we do so others may live. I think that ought to be the motto in the believer. This I do so that you might live. This I live this way so that you might have Christ. Paul said, for me to live, for me to die is gain, and to live is Christ. What if that was us this year? You're living so that Christ would be seen through you. Let's go find somebody. Let's stand together and sing with these guys.